3 Count Thursday is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?
Cool to me to, and I hold on to so much stuff from my wrestling that I have the card from when I wrestled Undertaker. I have posters. I have all the posters we've been on. I have all my figures. And I have them not for me, but someday I maybe want to hand them to my son and say, hey, here. And if he wants it or not, but I've been given the opportunity to give that to him. And he's one of the biggest fans in the world, so for him to be able to see what I've done and the person that it's made me, I can't really describe it. It's I guess if I had a goal in life, it was to be as good a dad as my dad, and I think I'm on my way. And I guess for me to be able to do that, it's super special.
As much as you want to talk about like John Huber's as a person, Huber Boy 2, Brodie Lee, Luke Harper are all Jonathan Huber, and I'm that because of those three personalities, I guess, and it's professional wrestling made me what I am. It's very powerful.
Welcome everyone to 3 Count Thursday. Obviously this is a very different beginning to the show. Unfortunately, over the 6 years of this program, we've had to remember wrestlers that have left this planet. This one feels different because this wasn't a legend in like the late stage of their life. This is somebody that was cut down in their prime. Jonathan Huber, Brodie Lee, Luke Harper, of course, passed away Saturday at the age of 41. Usually when we do these sort of things, I run down accomplishments, championships, stuff like that. I think we know, on the biggest stage, on the indie stage, I think we're fairly well aware. And I had them written down, but before we're recording this is Wednesday night, and I watched the beginning of Dynamite tonight, and I saw a widow and I saw two kids, young kids, and it's not fair. And we talk about social media and the wrestling presence on social media and all of that a lot, and what it can be in a negative way. And Saturday when I saw the news, like I had TweetDeck open on my computer. I was working on a couple different things, and TweetDeck updates. It's constant. It's in real time. I literally could not read a single tweet before it disappeared off the feed, and they were all like good and positive, and yeah, like so it just this one feels weird and different, and you know, multiple days later, it's still like it's not okay. Like this one's not okay. You know, I can't. And I'm not even the biggest, I was not the biggest, Brodie Lee. I didn't know the indies. I learned who this man was with the Wyatt family. So, you know, my timeline is a lot shorter than a lot of people's. But the clip that we played, the countless stories I've read over the last couple of days, it's not even about the wrestler. Like this was a good man. This one hurts on I feel like on a different level, and this is somebody I didn't even know. You know, and I don't know who wants to talk next. Tim, go ahead, because I mean I don't know, but we're gonna do that. We're gonna talk as ever long as this takes, and ever long as we want to go. This is important.
Yeah. So I followed Brodie a little bit in the indies just because of my connection to Chikara. I knew Brodie. I knew he had a fantastic look, and I was not surprised when he got signed. But as you mentioned, it's not about like the way we knew him was through the wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
but through it all, it's more of just the storytelling of those that knew him. Big E has been a phenomenal read the last 3 days, talking about his relationship with Brodie, with Harper, with John. I don't know him, so I'm not calling him by his real name.
Yeah, I get it.
That's the exalted one, Mr. Brodie Lee, to me. And but Big E talking about his connection with Brodie is heart-wrenching. Like, everyone has had like the most positive, most genuine reaction to like him as a person. And they talk about it a little bit during the AEW broadcast, but the only other times I've ever heard somebody be like unanimously talked about in this sort of light was when we tragically lost Eddie,
mm-hmm.
and we tragically lost Owen.
Yeah.
And to share the billing of even being a wrestler in the same sentence as Eddie Guerrero and Owen Hart is one thing. But as far as the stories go, to be put on the same pedestal as a person and as a father, as Owen and Eddie, that is probably a bigger and better legacy than Brodie could ever leave in the ring. Like, just seeing the outpouring of love from both, quote unquote, both sides of the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
People give WWE a little bit of flack for like they didn't do enough for Brodie to remember him. But in my mind, it's actually big of them to not, because that's AEW's wound to heal and not necessarily WWE's currently. But either way, man, the whole thing sucks. I imagine doing this sort of podcast 5 minutes after. Like, it's tough for us to talk about now. I did this 3 days ago.
Yeah.
5 minutes after AEW released the graphic.
Yeah, I'll tell people right now. If you're listening to this, we've already said you should be listening to Final Wrestling Place, but check out this week's, if nothing else. Tim, you guys did a fantastic job.
Yeah, we were supposed to cover the worst year ever. How apropos that, like, on the episode where we're gonna like be lighthearted and joke about how like wrestling was really shitty in 2020, we actually have something really shitty to talk about.
That's the worst.
And it's like the worst. And so to go from satire to like serious and somber was a gear shift, but I hope it was I appreciate the kind words. It was just a genuine reaction from the two of us. Like, Marcus, my podcast partner, best friend, brother, like, he knew Brodie. And so and he's in a super secret text chat with a lot of other people that you may see on television on Wednesdays and Thursdays, or Wednesdays and Fridays. That's when 205 Live is, right?
Yes.
Wednesdays and Fridays. And like he needed a minute. I understood, but it's just crazy. And I'm sure other people will talk about it too. I'm really, if anything else, I'm just pleased with the legacy that's being left behind.
Yeah. The first of all, obviously, thoughts would go out to anybody affected, by this. I know it's not just direct family and people that are in AEW and have worked with him in the WWE. Excuse me. A lot of Binghamton friends I know have that whole area of New York is hurting today. I've never worked a show with Brodie Lee. I've known people who have. I've known people who've shared the rings with Brodie Lee, formerly known as Luke Harper. This one just hits so different for some reason, and I don't know. There's no rhyme or reason why. I said before we went on the air, I'm never an emotional guy. I make jokes about things inappropriately at times, but that's how I cope with it. And it's one hits differently. Seeing Colt Cabana open tonight's show, opening contest, and just the emotion in him before he went and wrestled his match made me emotional, which is a very, very hard thing to do. I keep things very close to my chest, but something just hit differently for some reason. Age, maybe the unexpectedness of it, but I think it should give everybody an appreciation for life and what they have. And I truthfully hope this will end some of the war that we see regularly between fans of promotions. We saw AEW guys retweeting the WWE graphic. We've seen WWE kids and wrestlers retweeting the AEW graphics. Calling him Brodie Lee, never called that in the W. There's not a war here. These are friends. These are brothers and sisters in a business that the battle lines are drawn between marks like us. And really that should put into perspective what's really important and what's not. two quick side notes. I'll try to keep it brief. If you've not seen, Tim, you brought up Chikara. If you've not seen the Brodie Lee, Claudio Castagnoli cage match in Chikara, it might be one of Brodie Lee's best wrestled matches in his entire career. Tim, I'm assuming you've seen it.
Yeah, I have, and just to double down on that, I think it's free. It's up online for free on YouTube. I'm not sure if it's monetized by Chikara, but if it is, screw them and go to independentwrestling.tv. Use the promo code @odds or mortis for 5 free days, and you can cancel after that. But Brodie has many matches on independentwrestling.tv, including his run in Chikara, with the match we covered on Final Wrestling Place with it's Brodie's last match in Chikara against Eddie Kingston. So, and that's another big match, but back to your time.
I just pulled it up on the YouTube. It doesn't look like it's monetized. I didn't get an ad to start. So it's a match that you should check out. It's 18 minutes long, but as a wrestling fan, take the time and check that out. And just an offshoot, I was just always connected to the character. I picked this up when he was Luke Harper in the Wyatt family, which was a huge part of, I think, my fandom of Bray Wyatt. But my very first Combat Zone Wrestling DVD was the Best of Brodie Lee. It's one of the RF video compilations. Some really, really cool matches that we went to see later, or you'd want to see, later in his career. It's capped off by a CZW World Heavyweight Championship match between him and Jon Moxley. So where these guys are today, they've started years ago and planted these seeds of the characters that we see today. So I guess my message is enjoy the day. There's not a war here, and support independent wrestling and get to know these guys today that are going to be the stars of tomorrow.
For me, I was always kind of beating the drum of the technical wrestling skills of Luke Harper. That's what really drew me to him when he was in the WWE. I always said top 5. I would say maybe even top 3. But I mean, just listening to that sound clip of him talking about how it was more important for him to be a good father than anything else just is kind of what you can tell. And I mean, when people pass away, no one comes out and says bad things about them. If they don't have anything positive to say, they're just going to remain quiet. So the amount of people flooding the Twitter timeline with good things to say is just a testament of the man that he was behind the character that we all knew. I remember when you I forget who exactly sent it to the group chat. It might have been you, Jim, but when you sent that, I was at a loss for words, just because, this one stung. It was similar to like when we met Roddy and then lost him a few days later, like that just kind of out of nowhere thing for different reasons, but
Sure.
Still it was one that hit me harder than deaths in the wrestling business have, which is unfortunate. And like we've become numb to seeing some of these legends pass away just because it happens so frequently. So this one just is different because of the timeline of it. You saw someone who had a ton of promise, was starting to showcase what they could do. Getting that shot in AEW, a different shot, not that he didn't get a shot in WWE, it's just kind of different. And that also speaks to just the depth of him as a wrestler. So it's a big loss. But I think that both companies have done very well in their tributes. I did see the negative reactions, the not enough stuff. And to that, I mean, it's WWE, I think, and I'm not one to shy away from criticism of WWE. I think at this point, it's them just not wanting to step on toes. This is AEW's loss. It's a wrestling loss first and foremost, but it's AEW's to kind of go with first. I think we might see more probably as the week progresses on SmackDown. We might see something else now that AEW has had their moment, but I think it was handled very well by both companies and by everyone involved. And to echo Tim's statement, I mean, the Big E stuff is just, as a fan of the wrestler, like to hear the stories is just really awesome at this point.
If you haven't seen the clip of Xavier and Kofi on Raw Talk this week, seek that out. It's only a couple of minutes. It was on WWE's social media Monday night. Yeah, and it was reported that they had recorded some things at the building on Monday. So I don't know if they're going to be used on SmackDown or at a later point. But yeah, I do think that they were giving the first opportunity, quote unquote, at the memorial to AEW, because, you know, I mean, yeah, it's a WWE loss, it's a wrestling loss, but first and foremost, this was an AEW wrestler, this is an AEW superstar, so it's their loss first, and you know, to give them, you know, and unfortunately it happened on the weekend, and Monday Night Raw is the first wrestling show of the week, and I think they were in a position where nothing they were going to do was right, and that's not me defending the WWE, as I always do, but I think if they would have done more, there would have been criticism that they stole AEW's spot, and unfortunately we saw, you know, with what they did, the criticism was that it wasn't enough. But I think that everybody has really, for the most part, we'll get to, you know, some of that, because we are going to do a quote unquote normal show, an end of year show, as we were planning. But we'll get to some of that. Intern Mark, I didn't mean to steal your spot there, but your thoughts.
Oh, you're all right. Yeah, Brodie Lee, I knew of him, didn't necessarily follow him a whole lot on Independence. Certainly knew him and enjoyed him as Luke Harper in WWE. When he had the Intercontinental title run, I was really, his work there I thought was phenomenal. And I think he was 2-time IC champ, if I remember correctly.
I think he was 1-time IC, 2-time SmackDown tag, NXT tag.
Okay. Yeah, but honestly, yeah, a great breakout star with the Wyatts. And like you guys were saying, everything you read on Twitter or on social media about what a good person and what a family man he was. Just an absolute shame. Just a real quick story. Really, it's just such a minor story, but I guess it was a year or two ago up at Hershey Park, one of my security friends let me know that Luke Harper was in the park that day with his son. So I wasn't necessarily going around trying to seek him out, but I was certainly hopeful I would run into him. And sure enough, he was up there. He had tweeted out a photo maybe the next day of him and his son on, I don't know if they're on a roller coaster or by a ride, but I thought that was pretty neat. But yeah, just an absolute shame. When I first heard about it, I was really hoping it was a mistake. I don't think any of us realized he was sick or how severely ill he was. But yeah, just a huge loss, not just to the wrestling world, but for his friends and family, and certainly the kids. I can't even imagine. Just terrible.
Yeah, I think that's what that absolutely crushed me tonight was you know, seeing his kids, and it was Brodie with the Dark Order mask, and then Nolan. I can't even imagine what that's like to be his wife Amanda and his, you know, the sons at this point. You know, and you hear that clip and you hear what Moxley said tonight, and just how, you know, we look at wrestling and we're fans and we get caught up in all of these moments and how, a booking decision can anger us, and how somebody not getting a push is it frustrating, or this guy deserves better, or this girl deserves better. And like Moxley said tonight, like, I mean, he loved wrestling, but it was a job. He loved being a dad that much more. And the tributes and things that I've seen over the last couple of days, it spoke so far beyond wrestling that it just it's awful. And I think, Matt, you said it best. Like, it feels like Eddie Guerrero. It feels like Owen Hart, because it's not supposed to happen at 41 years old. 2 months after the guy's wrestling some of his best matches ever on TV. It's not. It's not supposed to be that way. When I saw the tweet from AEW, I had to like triple take, because I saw the message, and I was like, and I saw the picture on the post, and I was like, wait, and then I had to like make sure it was actually from the AEW account, and even still, for a couple of minutes, I sat on it, and I was like, this can't, like, I like, it just can't be real, because, and I started looking, I was like, I knew he hadn't been on TV, and I thought I had seen something about an ankle injury, and I was like, it just didn't make sense. It just didn't make any sense, and I think that was like the theme for the first, like 10 minutes or so. Yeah, Matt.
I just also wanted to say, as we're wrapping up the thoughts on this, a huge tip of the cap to all of the wrestlers who are like showing how you can support the family. A big shout out to CM Punk for, all proceeds of the sales of his shirts going towards the family and everything. I love to see the contract for his son. I thought that was a fantastic thing. And so I mean, it just everyone in the wrestling community coming together to just honor someone like this. It says a ton. And we've talked again and again about a good man as well as a good wrestler. And that's just the testament to it, because I mean, it's days later and people are still just outpouring stories, support. Don't want to talk about any of the negative stuff, because the positive stuff is just outshining in that. I think it's awesome.
I saw Mick Foley also all of his sales on Pro Wrestling Tees in January. All Brodie Lee merchandise will, of course, now go to his family. Collar and Elbow did a Brodie Lee shirt, EC3. I think the guy that does a lot of his artwork, he released a shirt. So there's ones out there. There's
a lot more of things that will be left unsaid as far as the way things are being honored. But another thing is on Tony Schiavone's podcast. Tony and Conrad are putting together a scholarship fund in Brodie Lee's name for aspiring wrestlers.
That's awesome.
Those who want to be wrestlers and are just not able to go to school. So it's, I mean, the legacy is far beyond. So,
my thoughts, I'll close with this, and we'll go around if anybody has anything else to add. I think if we can take any lesson, I'm just as guilty at times with not necessarily the war, but just And we've joked over the 6 years of this program about trolling people and things like that. But we've seen over the past few days, like Matt or Ryan or one of you guys said, how AEW superstars are retweeting WWE sentiments and vice versa. And earlier today, WWE superstars are encouraging people to tune into AEW Dynamite tonight. The war is manufactured by us. We're trying, we remember, for those that went through it, the Monday Night Wars and how awesome the Monday Night Wars were to have to be in front of your TV on a Monday night and have to previous channel, TNT, USA, TNT, USA. Who's going to get my viewership? Because it was one of the coolest times to be a wrestling fan, maybe the coolest. But the war now is manufactured. It's trying to capture a time that is never coming back. And if we can take one lesson, I think from this is, and it's something we've also said from various times over the years on this show. Enjoy what you enjoy. Like what you like. If you don't like something, that's okay. You don't watch it, or let's maybe try to find, if we're gonna watch something and we're gonna commit ourselves to a product, to find things we enjoy. It's okay to not like something. It's okay to like something. It's okay to it's, as we've seen, and it is far too evident with this than it's been when a legend passes at 65 or 60. There's a guy 41 years old. I'm 35. That's 6 years from now. You know what I mean? Enjoy what you enjoy, and maybe we can all reclaim some happiness and into this community. And Moxley said it tonight. It's a community to come together, and maybe that's the lesson here. I think that's an important thing is to remember that it's a community and we can enjoy it and be positive. So that's my thought. I mean, thoughts and prayers to Brodie and his family and everybody that he touched. But we all can be better.
Take pictures. I saw Lufisto tweet something.
I saw that,
and that hit me real hard. I know we've all worked shows before. Yeah, I'm not gonna shy away from that. I don't think anymore. It was always, especially as commentary, I kind of felt like, your role, you're here to do your job, sort of thing.
You don't want to be that guy.
I don't want to be that guy, right? But I feel like I'm not gonna let those opportunities pass. To and I'm not just talking about like the draw at an indie show. Take pictures with your friends. Let's all just be better people.
So yeah, R.I.P. Brodie Lee, 41 years old. But when you hear this, it's Thursday. When we're recording it, it's Wednesday. You know what that means. Three Count Thursday is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?